Science at the University of Suceava in Romania. And I did this work together with my colleague, Bogdan Poveniuc, who is the first author of this paper, but unfortunately he was not able to attend today, so I get to present instead. So just to give you a bit of context and background here, Bogdan Poveniuc is a professor of philosophy, and I'm a professor of computer science. And for this work, we joined efforts to address a topic that we are both, and we are still both fond of, that of ethical design of human augmentation, for which we chose the technology of extended reality. So normally extended reality is not necessarily applied to human augmentation, but it has many, many other applications. But as you'll see in this talk, we applied it for practical use case scenario for augmented human perception and human action as well. Originally this work started as a contribution for ethical design of human augmentation using XR technology, but as we developed it, we found more interesting to place this possibility of using XR for human augmentation in a philosophical and cultural framework, for which we identify several options, but eventually we stuck with transhumanism, because as you'll see in a few seconds, it connects very well to the concept of being in between the physical and the virtual, just like transhumanism is in between humanism and post-humanism. And we work on top of this parallelism in our paper. The entire idea is to take the technology of augmented reality, mixed reality, and virtual reality that is normally used to augment human perception, and to apply it to the specific context of human augmentation, cognitive augmentation, sensory augmentation, sensory motor augmentation, and so on. And our main starting point, and which turned out to be a philosophical direction and framework, is that this sort of mixed reality that is both physical and digital creates both the opportunity but also the need to design for new human perception and new human abilities. And besides the technology of augmented mixed virtual reality, we also experience a lot in our laboratory with wearable computing and ambient intelligence equipment such as large displays. And from one perspective, we can say that these technologies can also be used to augment human perception, human motor action, sensory motor perception, and so on. So in this work, we take an all-inclusive approach to extended reality if the primary goal is to augment human capabilities. So in our full paper, we make two contributions. In the first, our first contribution is to adopt a principal approach that is grounded in the philosophy of transhumanism. And we use it to apply and appropriate the core values of transhumanism to guide innovations in extended reality applied to human augmentation. Our second contribution is to exemplify our approach with a few practical prototypes that we developed over the years in our laboratory in order to not necessarily validate, but provides support for adapting values, core values from the transhumanist project for augmented humans and human augmentation using XR technology. So to this end, we employ the three core conditions of the transhumanist project, which are very general. Basically, they are global security, technological progress, and wide access to technology. And on top of these core conditions, we introduce our 4 levels at which extended reality technology can be used to support, but also to determine human augmentation. And our 4 levels that I'm going to address in this presentation in a few moments with practical prototypes are instrumentation. So we need to instrument either the user, the body, or the environment with AMI technology, ambient intelligence technology. The second level is integration, communication and at an integratory level needs to take place between what the user wears and what kind or what type of technology is available in the environment, in the surrounding environment. The third level is control, because some control needs to take place either from the user to the environment or the wearable computers or vice versa. And the third dimension is sensation, meaning that some aspects of sensory motor action are usually being manipulated by the technology that is either worn or integrated in the environment. So I'm going to start with just a very brief introduction of transhumanism. I want to remind you that I'm not an expert on this philosophical concept and framework. Bogdan is, but I will speak for him now. So transhumanism is a cultural philosophy that tries to legitimize everyone's freedom to enhance oneself. And starting from this goal, transhumanists see augmentation, human augmentation, not only as valuable, such as being more efficient, more effective and doing things, but also possessing moral values as well. So there is also an ethical substrate that is taking place. Then transhumanism, they speak for a new perspective on human nature, about human nature that is augmented with the use of technology. And using technology to augment oneself is a characteristic feature of Homo sapiens, what we are, how we use technology in order to better adapt to our environment. And a third aspect of transhumanism from the transhumanist project that we use in this paper regards what we anticipate about the future technological evolution in which we, as Homo sapiens, continuously adapt to our environment. The different aspect here is that as we are creating more and more advanced technology that becomes our surrounding environment, the entire environment will be artificially built. So instead of adapting Homo sapiens to their surrounding environment, we'll have the interesting perspective that Homo sapiens will create their environment. And this perspective is incredibly relevant in the context of designing new extended reality environments, such as immersive environments, multimedia immersive environments, and so on. So these these three aspects represent the pillars on which we build our work and propose our contributions. Before I move further, I just want to provide our operational definition for what is extended reality for human augmentation. So by extended reality for human augmentation, we mean the application of augmented, virtual, mixed, mediated, multimediated, and so on reality technology. If the sole purpose of using this technology is to enhance one's abilities of any kind, such as sensory abilities, motor abilities, cognitive abilities, toward a better, more effective, more efficient functioning and interaction in the physical world. So this is our operational definition. So according to this definition, according to this perspective, the primary substratum for technological augmentation is represented by, first, the physical world, and second, by the individual's existing abilities, which are enhanced. So either the physical world or the individual's extended abilities, or both, they are enhanced with extended reality technology, with a process that involves integration between the human, the environment, and the technology that mediates this enhancement. So new sensory motor abilities, for example, may emerge from this integration. Examples include better vision or extended vision or different kinds of vision, if you will. And human augmentation can take place at the level of the user's body, permitted by this definition, but also at the level of the environment, also permitted by the definition. So we take a rather general approach, or a rather general perspective on how to augment human abilities, either of technology that is worn or technology that is integrated in the environment. This figure represents the core of our contribution. So what you see here is a parallel between Milgram and Kishino's reality virtuality continuum, which provides the standard definition for what mixed reality is at the top of this figure, and at the bottom you can see transhumanism lying in between humanism and post-humanism. So if we start with transhumanism, our approach is borrowed from Nick Bostrom's, the author of the FAQ on transhumanism and transhumanist project, but we also rely on Sorgner's metahumanism, or his concept of a metahuman, where this word meta means both over, but also in the middle. And in the middle means in the middle between humanism and post-humanism. At the top of this figure, we have the reality virtuality continuum, where at one end you can see physical reality, and at the other end you have virtual reality, and everything in between is a mixture of the two, so mixed reality. This comes from a seminal paper from 1994 from Milgram and Kishino. So when we put Milgram and Kishino's reality virtuality continuum in correspondence with this sort of continuum between humanism as we progress towards post-humanism by the framework of transhumans and the transhumanist project, we can see that a few parallels can be made between the two. And in this space, we position our contribution. At the top, we have the technology of extended reality. At the bottom, we have the core values of the transhumanist project, where augmented human abilities is not only valuable, effective, and efficient, but also morally valuable as well. This figure is our adaptation of Bostrom's "We ain't seen nothing yet." This is a space of all the possible modes of being. And in this space, we have a few zones, a few regions that are clearly delineated. So for instance, region 2 is where we are at this moment in our natural evolution. Region 1 is the possible modes of being that are accessible by other animals, by other species. The region marked 4 is accessible by transhumans with technologies that are characteristic of the transhumanist project, such as medical augmentation or prosthetics and so on. As a subpart of this region, we place a new region, which is called human augmentation, that is accessible via extended reality technology, and we lie in this space. In order to characterize this region and this space better, we provide 4 levels at which contributions in this space can be characterized, can be compared, can be defined, can be specified. So we have the instrumentation, the integration, control, and sensation level. So for the rest of my talk, I'm going to present 2 examples of past projects from our laboratory that comply with this philosophical concept. And they also demonstrate our 2 perspectives on this subject. In a first project that is called Digital Vibrance, we developed a wearable device that you can see on the user's index finger that vibrates when a specific event happens. And that specific event is when the user touches their smartphone in order to pick up a digital object. So I'm going to play the video so that you can get an understanding of how this system works. So the user picks up objects from their smartphone. The objects, when they are being picked up, are no longer displayed on the smartphone, but instead they manifest their presence as vibrations on the user's finger. So many such digital objects can be picked up simultaneously. They are held in the user's hand, and they manifest themselves with vibrations when they enter the physical world. So what we have in this case is an example of haptic augmented reality. The system can be defined at the integration level because the user is wearing a finger augmentation device. In this example, we have two such devices so that the user can transmit the digital object from one hand to the other. And as you can see in the video, now the other hand, when it touches the phone, makes the digital object reappear on the surface on the phone and so on. So we have a substrate of the physical world that is being augmented, giving the users the sensation of holding digital objects when those digital objects are being brought into the physical world. Another example of a system that we developed in our laboratory is called possibilities. So possibilities is a word that defines, that specifies possibilities for abilities, for motor abilities specifically. So I'm going to play the video so that you can get an understanding of this system as well. So this is an example of a spatial augmented reality system where we used a video projector. You can see a photograph of the setup in this slide. And we use a video camera to capture the movements of the user's physical hand and then to replay those movements as a virtual hand that is aligned with the physical body. Now, once we had the system in place with the video camera and the video projector, so a computer vision augmented spatial augmented reality system, we start playing around with it in order to present users with different virtual possibilities of moving their virtual hand aligned with their physical body. So we developed a few features. One of them is a delayed reaction time. So you can see your virtual hand being delayed by 1 second to 2 seconds in its movement. So this creates a new and interesting sensation for users. Another feature that we implemented is what we call size decoupling. So the users are experiencing a hand that is decoupled in terms of its size from the rest of the body. Here we experiment with superposition. So, and by superimposing the movements of a virtual hand, we suggest the user possibilities for future movement of their physical hand. This is another example where the virtual hand plays a recorded movement that is stored in our database. And by playing a recorded movement, possibilities for bimanual actions become an option. So here we have action with two hands, where one hand is physical, the other is virtual, that take place at the intersection of both worlds. And in this last example, we can see that the user has left, but their virtual hand is still present, and we call this a sign of virtual presence. So some part of me, a virtual part, is still present in the real world. So I think I'm running out of time, so I'm going to briefly conclude now. So hopefully there will still be a few minutes left for questions and answers. So in conclusion, we are exploring in our paper the possibility of using the Transhumanist project as one way to deliver a philosophical and cultural framework where the technology of extended reality, including devices and applications, concepts and systems, can be used in order to implement, support, and address systems that provide human augmentation. And we provide a lot of discussion on this topic in our paper, and also other examples besides those that I've just shown you. I really hope that this discussion that we are providing will be useful for the augmented human audience and community as large. We are dedicated to pursue this topic in the future, and I'm looking forward to your questions as well, and hopefully also some feedback. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope I made the 20 minutes that were allocated, and I'm looking forward to questions.
You are